All right, well, hello, everyone. As I said, my name is Summer Spears. I work with FAVOR Upstate. FAVOR, if you don't know, FAVOR is an addiction resource center. So we are a center of recoveries that come together and help other people find recovery from different substances, different addictions all together. And we do that by helping in 3 different impact areas. So we help in rebuilding lives, healing families, and strengthening communities. So those are the kind of 3 impact areas that I'm going to go over today to kind of explain more about insight into FAVOR. A lot of people don't understand what it is that we do, but we have centers all over the upstate. We have 4 specific centers in Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson, and Oconee. And then now Pickens as of a couple months ago. So we have physical locations there, and then we do outreach and different stuff in the entire upstate. So we help anybody in the upstate, South Carolina. So what does that look like? First thing that I kind of wanted to talk on is, let's see, rebuilding lives. So what rebuilding lives looks like is when these people who are suffering with the substance use disorder, sometimes they don't really know where to turn to. A lot of people think that you have to go to rehab to be able to fight the substance use, but in reality, recovery can happen along any point of their journey. So we kind of come in to be able to tell them that as long as they are willing to find recovery, they have the power inside of them to find recovery. So what we do is they can come into our centers, any of our centers, and we have trained peer support specialist coaches that are in the centers that help them. They train them one-on-one. So kind of like therapy, kind of like counseling. They sit down with them and they help them for as long as they might need to have that one-on-one connection, to be able to really sit down with somebody who has been there, done that, and found recovery. And for them to see that it is possible to find recovery. They can also come into any of our centers and we do open meetings. Our meetings are pretty consistent at any of our locations. We do all recovery meetings, like anybody can come in and just kind of see what's going on, but there's also more targeted meetings, kind of like the 12-step meetings that we think of every week of recovery. We do AA, MA, stuff like that. We also post those we also even do all the way to OA, which is Overeaters Anonymous. We have Dharma, any kind of, we kind of encompass all different paths so that they can, it's like a one-stop shop. Everybody finds recovery differently. Some people find it through God, through their church, and some people are totally against that. To each their own, but we want it to be all in a place that they can come. And if they are religious, they can go to that meeting. If they are, they can go to that meeting. So we have those in all of our centers. But kind of whenever you think of people who are suffering, you only think of that person. But in reality, there's a whole family behind that one person that is also suffering. That person or those people who are suffering as family members of people with substance use disorder, they don't know where to turn. They can't go to rehab. They don't know where to go to. You know, they know that maybe I can go see a therapist and talk about this, but you don't want to talk, a lot of times they don't want to talk about it with their friends. They don't want to open up to people around them. And so they really don't know where to turn. So we introduce Healing Families here into our program. And that's kind of the same thing, just like Rebuilding Lives. We have been family coaches. So family members who had loved ones in recovery and found recovery through FAVOR services, other services, and really be able to teach those people, those family members who come in, how to deal with it. It's a hard process, and the families that come in are really where we see the most emotion, because you just feel so hopeless, and not having any place to really turn is a very, very lonely place to be. And in those groups, kind of just like those 12-step groups, we have them for families. So our family group meets Mondays at 6 p.m. at our Greenville Center, and they also have it in the other locations. But that one group is such an amazing group. It is so, such a supportive group. Everybody in there is truly like family. You really get to know everybody and really get to have their support, even outside of the group time. They get lunch, they do other stuff. We had one, lady who her daughter had died from, taking a counterfeit pill, and she pursued the, legal system to get this person who sold her the drug into jail. Whenever she was in there, she went into the court and had to testify and do all that kind of stuff. The family group came with her as support. So like, even outside of this, the groups, they're always there to support, because it's a very, you don't a lot of times get the same support, as like if you have a sick child that, people can more understand. Along with that, we have the grief group, which grief from somebody who has died from substance use, addiction of any kind, really. That is it's a very different kind of grief that you have to go through. And so our grief group meets every Thursday in Greenville, and they do the same thing, kind of just meet and talk and be able to connect with other people who are going through the same thing. So our last impact area that I was talking about is strengthening communities. So one of the things that we do whenever we say we want to strengthen the community, is we go out and we go to the different homeless camps, the different food banks, stuff like that, where the addiction is more prevalent, and we go and we hand out harm reduction materials. Now, harm reduction in and of itself can be very controversial. A lot of people look at harm reduction and look at Narcan as just like you're giving them more ammo to continue their addiction. Now, FAVOR doesn't really have an opinion on anything. What our opinion is that we want to keep people alive long enough to where they can find recovery, because you never know, it might take an overdose and to be Narcan, for them to be able to wake up and be like, wow, I can't live this life anymore. That's usually what the case is. And it was that Narcan that saved their life to be able to then find recovery. So that's one of the things that we do to strengthen the community. We also hand out different test strips. So fentanyl test strips, xylazine test strips, different stuff like that, to where these active users can actually test their drugs so that they know what's in it, and they know that they're not taking fentanyl or xylazine, which is one of the most dangerous things that you can consume. So that's a very, very important part of what we do. So I have Narcan on each of your tables, and I have plenty more, so you are welcome to take some with you today. The Narcan that we give out is a nasal spray. So it's just like the regular nasal spray that you get whenever you have allergies or anything. We give out these, but we also do intramuscular. A lot of the drug users will prefer needles to do Narcan instead of the nasal spray. They just are more comfortable with it than most people. So the Narcan, you use it, of course, just like the regular one. If somebody's in an overdose, they are totally unconscious. So they are unresponsive. You can't get anything out of them. And then they will be blue. No matter what their skin color is, it'll have a blue hue to it. And you always want to call 911. It's always going to be the first thing you do. Even if they wake up and act completely fine after Narcan, you always want to call 911. So you administer the Narcan just by putting it up their nose and pushing in the plunger. It's an immediate reversal to those opioids. So if they take opioids, that's what it reverses. So it basically reverses those something in your brain, and it brings them back to life. So it's truly a life-saving tool is what you have in your hand. And we want to saturate the upstate with Narcan. We want everybody to have Narcan, because you really don't know when you're going to stumble across somebody who might, a lot of times, The two most common things we hear is people at gas stations and people at Waffle House. Those are the two most common places that people have seen overdoses or use Narcan that we've heard. So, you really never know. You never know when you're going to stumble across it. So, I have plenty of that for you today, but I also wanted to give a little bit of numbers. People like hear FAVOR and look at this and be like, you know, that's all good, but like how effective, are our services? How are people really using them? You know, we can go out and tell everybody about them, but it takes somebody to walk into the center to be able to actually, use our services. So, our Rebuilding Lives, we have served this in 2022, I think these numbers are for. We served close to 23,000 people through our in-person and virtual all recovery meetings that we host 7 days a week. We hosted 368 family support group meetings with over 5,500 folks that came to those family meetings. We also have a substance use disorder helpline. So on that sheet of paper, that brochure, there's a little phone number. That is our helpline that is available 7 days a week, and it's from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Anybody can call if you ever have any kind of need or just need somebody to talk to if they're going through something. Somebody's on that other line to be able to help them. If we can't help them directly, we have a whole list of referrals that we can refer them to the correct people to get the help that they need. As far as harm reduction material, so that's Narcan, that's those test strips, we've distributed 4,582 total harm reduction materials. So we're getting them out. We are getting them out, and we have, as of last month, I believe, we have 84 confirmed lives saved from Narcan that we have given out. Now, of course, we don't get a lot of those reports back, or if they use them or anything like that, because a lot of times we just hand them to those homeless encampments, and what happens to the Narcan, we don't know. So that is confirmed people who have come back to us and said that they use Narcan and it saved somebody's life. And I mean, a lot of people look at that number and they're like, is that enough? But in reality, it's 83 people's children, 83 people's siblings that have been saved through that Narcan. So it really, really is a life-saving tool. And we just want to be able to have everybody to have it. So if you ever come across it, but that's a little bit about FAVOR, kind of what we do, what we're kind of striving to do. Does anybody have any questions? We also have the brochures and everything that has more of the information, kind of what I just told you, our vision, our mission at FAVOR. Yeah.
So if someone was seeking recovery services, would they just call you and kind of tell you about their situation and like if they're looking for resources?
Yeah, so they can always call that helpline, or they could just walk into any of our centers at any time. And there's going to be a person at the front desk, somebody there that can help you. But I mean, always call, and they can definitely tell you. They can set up appointments on there. That way they can have that recovery coach right away whenever they go in. We always say, if you want a recovery coach, you gotta ask for one, because that's kind of where we have seen the most growth, is people wanting recovery coaches. They want those people because on top of all this, every single service of ours is free. So our coaching, our meetings, anything that we do in our centers is completely free. So we get a lot of people wanting those coaches. So we also train people to become coaches. So that training is a CPSS course, and it's a 40-hour course, and it's people who have lived experience. And then we hire a lot of those afterwards, because we're always looking for recovery coaches, because one person can only have so many people on their caseload.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of people in the upstate. If you start looking at numbers of the people in the upstate that are suffering, it's a lot of individuals, and a lot of family members who are then suffering behind them. So a lot of people, this touches a lot of people, and a lot of people need help, so. Yeah. Yes, well, thank you, and, I also have my card on, I think, some of those, so, if you have any other questions or just, want more information or would like to hear more, please just contact me, I would love to answer anything that you might have. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Summer, for being out here today. We appreciate you coming by, because obviously this is an incredibly important thing. And I think sometimes people don't really look at, addiction as something that's related to disabilities, but it absolutely is. So, yeah, we're glad you came out here and shared today. Thank you. Anybody have any